Hello, everybody. It's Bob Paradise from Attain Technology, and I have with me my business development person, Shelly. Say hello, Shelly.
Hello.
First, I want to warn you that I do have construction going on upstairs. I apologize. I didn't know they were doing construction upstairs. So if you hear hammers and saws, just think you're on a construction site and don't mind it. All right. So
I'm sure they're familiar.
yes. So anyways, yeah, today we're going to talk a little bit about cybersecurity, construction, and all of that. And Shelly's going to prompt me with some questions that have been asked, and we're going to go from there. So I'm going to let Shelly ask me some questions.
All right, great. These are some really good questions, and obviously they've been asked a lot. So I'm excited that you're answering them, because then we won't have to anymore. You can watch the webinar. So the number one question that we get is, I'm not a Suffolk or a Gilbane construction size company. I'm small, and am I even a target for hackers?
You know, if you had asked me that question, oh, you know what? Let me repeat the question. I'm sorry. I'm not a Suffolk or Gilbane. Am I even a target for cyber hackers and security? And, you know, that's a great question. And really the answer to that is, if you had asked me that 10 years ago, I would have said, none, they're not targeting you. And you know, the hackers really targeted towards the Suffolks, the Gilbanes, the GEs, the big boys in the industry. But over the last, I think 10 years, they found a way to make you pay, and that's cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and the 40 other cryptocurrencies that have come on the market since. And now what they can do is they can derive money right from you directly. Before, with the big companies, they used to have to steal information and sell that information to make any money, right? And a small construction company, the information is not worth a lot. Not that you guys don't do a great job, it's that none of the information is really proprietary, right? So there's no proprietary information there to steal and sell to somebody else. Yeah, they could log in and they could get employee information, credit card information, and all of that, but that's not going to net them enough to make somebody a target. But really, there is no targets today either, because what they do is they take a bot and they put it up on the internet, and that bot's job is to create more bots. So this bot will create 100 bots, right? And then they give command to the 100 bots to find targets that miss some security vulnerabilities. And they look for these security vulnerabilities. And when they find one, they target that security vulnerability, and then they turn it into a conversion. And when they get that hack converted, they either sell it off to another hacker to ransomware you or to steal your data, or they do that same thing themselves. So in the past, I would say, no, you weren't a target, but now it's not even discriminate who they're targeting, because they have 100 bots or 1,000 bots or 100,000 bots out there stealing the data. And you're like, well, how can they afford to create all these bots on the internet? Because what they do is they compromise really insecure systems, and they turn them into bots, and people don't even know it, right? Your home computer, my home computer could be a bot. We wouldn't even know it, right? Depending on the hack or vulnerability in today's. So there's plenty of compute space out there on the network for them.
Okay, so a lot of it has to do with there's just so many more bots now. So, and since it doesn't know this company's huge, this one's small, it just knows vulnerabilities. So since there's so many bots, it's just going after anything. It's not just going after the big guys.
Right, they can create as many bots as they want. So they just find these vulnerabilities, the vulnerabilities stack up, and then they work them one at a time. And now they're automating that process to, if they find a known vulnerability, they get the bot to now compromise that vulnerability automatically.
Okay.
Right? So now the bots are creating the access. Whether it's going to get sold off or not, we don't know. But
what do you mean the access is going to be sold off or not?
So when a hacker gets access to a system, there's two types of hackers. One type of hacker will just conduct the hack in the ransomware all the way through to the end. Another hacker will sell that off to, think about it as skill level, right? So entry level, skill level. And I've gone from ReEvil, and ReEvil's given me this kit, and they've taught me how to hack this far. And then once I get that compromise that they've taught me to get, then I sell that off to ReEvil, And what they do is they give me a percentage of what they collect. So they might give me 15% of what they collect when I turn that hack over to them. So pretty good deal for REvil because they get me to do all of the low end work and they just do the high end work, right? So I escalate it. I escalate that to a tier 3 hacker as opposed to a tier 1 hacker. Really, if you really think about it, it's a business today. So that's what it is. Like these guys aren't sitting in basements anymore. They have whole levels of offices in India, Russia, like they do it out in the open. You know, they pay off the police. Russia really would commend somebody for hacking the United States. So would China, right? So it's not about the individual hacker anymore. It's about the hacking team and the hacking environment.
Okay. I think one of the most surprising things that I learned from you is that a lot of them don't even know they're hacking. They're just sitting in an office, like they're just working in a building, like, you know, at this job, and they're actually, you know, hacking.
Oh yeah, I mean, some of the like IRS calls and stuff like that, they just think they're working in a call center. I mean, eventually they catch on and they decide whether they want to stay or go, because you can't do that for long and not know what you're doing. But
Okay.
you're right. The entry level people that come in for the job, they don't really realize what they're doing, and probably till a couple weeks in.
Wow. Wow. That's shocking to me. Well, let's move on to the next question. So we have, why are cyber attacks and ransomware being targeted more towards construction companies? Can you tell us why that's happening?
Oh, so why are ransomware attacks and cyber attacks happening more towards construction companies these days? Well, because construction industry as a whole is adopting technology faster than any other industry that we know of today. The construction industry is going to make a technology transition faster than any other transition known to man. And that's sort of because the construction industry has always lagged in technology, but now they can see what they're going to do for it, right? Okay. So with all of this introduction of technology is going to be plenty of opportunity for the hackers, and they know it, right? You know, one of the things in cryptocurrency is blockchain, right? Blockchain was developed for cryptocurrency, but now what private industry is doing is they're taking that blockchain technology and implementing it. And the construction industry is going to be one of the first industries that really takes grasp of the blockchain technology. And you know, you're probably all wondering, blockchain, what the heck is blockchain, and why do I need to worry about it? And so basically, blockchain is really a communication method that's encrypted and secure. And what they're going to do with that for the construction industries is they're going to take and make your contracts do automated functions based on that blockchain technology. So you'll have a tie-in with the construction company that you're doing business for, and they'll say, okay, you've reached 20% completion. Our contract says we must make this payment at 20% completion. Their system would automate that payment to you, so that there's not all of this personal interaction between people, and that payments happen based on contract values and contract terminology, as opposed to somebody's opinion that it should or shouldn't get paid. So really what we're going to do is we're going to take big industry and move it into construction. And the companies like Suffolk and Gilbane are already looking at this technology because it will save them hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars over time.
Okay. Okay. So is that that blockchain, those, like the example that you gave, is that automated at all? You said that maybe it takes the decision to pay or not out, but is that automated? Any part of that automated as well?
So the whole intention of blockchain is 100% automation, right?
Okay.
So you reach 20% goal and work in process on this project, the payment happens. It's not even a decision, right? It just removes that. You reach a certain safety level, maybe it penalizes you on that contract. Maybe they write that into the contract, right? So there could be 1,000 different things, right? You'll be submitting your lien waivers via the software, and the blockchain will transmit that to the other company, and they'll say, oh, look, we can't pay for this material because we don't have lien waivers for it. So
Okay.
it's a new technology. It is still developing. Nobody's really embraced it yet, but it is coming. But if we look at all of the other construction technologies out there, they're massive. They're bringing more automated construction technologies to sites every day. I know Hilti's working on it. Autodesk is working on it. There's a thing called Taibot that ties rebar for bridges automatically. Saves companies thousands and thousands of dollars. Really, so all of these technologies become target at one point or another, because if they can stop you from working, then you're going to pay them, because $40,000 is nothing compared to stopping a major project and the hundreds of thousands of dollars it's going to cost you.
Yeah. Tell us again, you mentioned it before, Taibot helped. How much did they save and they got a project done quicker and saved how much?
They saved 15% on the project just by adding this rebar tying machine. So basically it automated the rebar tying. And by the way, they didn't lay off a single person. What they did is they took those people that would normally tie the rebar and got them to lay rebar. So the Taibot worked 24/7. So the people had trouble keeping up with the Taibot, right? Yeah. And really, I mean, especially in today's day and age, you think about it, we got in just Massachusetts alone, we got $15.4 billion coming into our construction economy between 22 and 23, and we can already not get help. So, in a construction industry, we're going to definitely need some technology. And as that technology expands, the hackers are going to target construction companies, because if they seize up your systems, you're not going to be able to program Taibot, right? You do an update to Taibot, they could render it useless. All of those things. So, it's all things that we need to look at. We need to try to keep you safe, right? And there's some definite things we can do to make you the low fruit make you the high fruit on the tree instead of the low fruit on the tree.
Very good. Very good. I think that a lot of people think incorrectly that the bots will put people out of work, and they don't, because of the amount of work that there is and the shortages. Would you agree? The labor shortage?
I would agree, and especially like skilled construction labor, it's already at an all-time low availability, right? Because we've been pushing our kids and daughters, our sons and daughters, to go to college, even if it wasn't right for them. So now they're all coming out with college degrees and they don't want to work in the construction industry. Get dirty? Are you kidding? Right? And some of these skilled people are amazing. Construction skilled people are amazing people. And if you could see what they can do, you'd be flabbergasted. I watch construction people all the time, and the good ones, the great ones, will make you drop your jaw on what they could actually accomplish. But that's going to be in supply, in a really demanding supply, and it's going to cost you a lot more money. So if you adopt technology, you'll be able to lower your costs while keeping up with the labor supply. And you're going to be hiring these sons and daughters anyways, as project managers, as coordinators, as a bunch of other things to support all of this technology that goes along. People will program the technology. You're really going to shift the labor force to a non-manual labor in most cases, to some type of office work.
Yes. Yep. Well, that's the where it's heading. That's just the natural progression. So, all right. Well, I'll move on to the next question, and that is this. I love this one. Why should I invest in cybersecurity?
Well, the way I look at, why should I invest into cybersecurity? This is the way I look at it. You made a huge investment into your company, right? I make a huge investment into my company, right? And I work day and night and trying to make sure that I do the right thing for my company. Well, and you have many risks in your company, right? You have a cybersecurity risk, right? You have a financial risk, you have a human resources risk, and they're all risks, right? And I can guarantee you you all have a general liability policy. Some of you might even have a cyber security insurance policy. And you probably have a human resources policy, wrongful termination policy, and all of those things come with best practices, right? So you don't just get the human resource policy without a human resource person to tell you how you should conduct business, because your insurance company is not going to have it. They're going to say, what policies do you have in place, what you need to do. We're starting to see that come into fruition with cybersecurity. However, it's getting more and more difficult and more expensive to get cybersecurity insurance because the exposure for the insurance companies is very high. So, but even if you have cybersecurity insurance, yeah, you might be covered financially, but what about your reputation to your company? And what about the jobs that you're going to lack on or fail on because you were ransomware, right? Because here's the path of ransomware, and really depends on the bigger the company. I'm just going to use a company of about 50 computers, right? If you have a company of about 50 computers and you have cybersecurity insurance and you get ransomware, your downtime from completely out to completely up is probably somewhere between 2 weeks and 2 months. Really depends on the complexity of systems, how good the hackers were, how good the backups were, how do we recover you, and then how good your documentation was, and how good your paper documentation was, or did you have any paper documentation? And then in some cases, if none of those were great, then we might not be able to recover you at all. And if we can't recover you at all, we have to start from scratch and we have to figure out where you're at. And that's going to be a holy hell of a mess, because how the hell do you file taxes when you get that way? How do you know where you're at financially? You know what you have in your bank accounts. How do you don't even know what you owe? So people will send you invoices, you can't even verify those, right? So it's my job at Attain Technology for my customers to make sure they have protections in place, because everybody will be hacked in one way or another in 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. The CIA analysts are saying that it's not if, but when will you be hacked, right? I talked to 2 or 3 CIA analysts about, former CIA analysts, sorry, about 2 to 3 times a year. And I'm fortunate, by events I go to, I get to meet up with these people and really understand the landscape of the market. And really they're saying when you get attacked, not if. Right? And that scared me when they changed that terminology, because it used to be, they used to say, if you get attacked. And now they're saying, well, when you get attacked. And I'm like, holy crap, that woke me up, right? So it's really my job to make sure that I stay awake for you guys. But the reason why you want to invest into cybersecurity is it's really not that expensive, right? Yeah, it's a little extra cost, right? It's not even as much as your insurance policy, probably, right? But what it does is it gives you recoverability and then speed of recoverability. And that's the name of the game, right? And it brings you on so I like to look at cybersecurity as the fruit on an apple tree. So think about it. You're a fruit on the apple tree in the orchard, right? And everybody that's inexperienced comes through and can pick off the lower half of that tree. And by the end of the season, almost all of the apples are picked off of that tree. But the apples on the top of the tree need a professional with a 3-legged ladder to come in and pull those apples from the tree. And that's really what cybersecurity does for you, is to get you to be a targeted attack, right? Or an accidental attack, but they need to assign additional resources to finish the hack. It's really about making them not be able to move within your organization, to get them to destroy less. And then if they destroy anything, to make sure you can recover. Right. So that's why you really should focus on a little bit of cybersecurity, which would help go a long way.
Okay, great. I have heard that if you get cybersecurity in place, it's also helpful for when you go and get your cybersecurity insurance, because that will help with the paper trail and documentation on what you already have in place and what your systems look like.
So that also, cybersecurity insurance doubled this year, and some companies are holding the old price.
Okay.
Based if you do these 3 things for cybersecurity. So you're gonna be forced to add cybersecurity. Do me a favor, just add it before the incident, right? because
Yes.
I used to wake at night worrying about cybersecurity and everybody's organization. And you know what? I will help the people that care and have their heart into it. But the people that don't care and don't do anything, you'll pay one way or another. I'll put it that way, right? Either you'll pay me now and we'll protect you and you won't have to go through that, or you'll pay me later when I have to recover it. And it's so bad because I hate thinking that way. I hate being that guy. But you know, I can't lay awake about people that don't have an investment in their own business. And that's
Right.
really what I look at.
Right. It's as you mentioned, it's just like having an insurance policy. You know, you need that in place. It's a business asset that you have to be in business. Cybersecurity is that way.
Oh, it is. And you know, whether you're a 1 to 6 man shop or whether you're a 150 to 200 man shop, right? Or a 1,000 man shop. If you're not looking at cybersecurity today, as CEO, and your people aren't looking at cybersecurity, you know, it's almost negligence at this point because we know what the risks are, right?
Yeah.
They're clear as day, right? If you knew the stock market was going to lose $1 million, right? Would you just leave your money there or would you pull it out, right? Well, cybersecurity is the same way. You will be hacked if you don't focus on cybersecurity, and you will make a large payout, and it will cost you a lot to recover and the reputation, right? So it's going to cost you in reputation because when you can't give an owner or another contractor information because your systems are tied up for 2 weeks, right? Eventually that leaks out, and so your reputation becomes in there, right? I hate to do the fear-mongered selling, right? I'm really trying to find a way to get people to see that this is truly an investment and truly something needed, just like business and umbrella insurance, cybersecurity insurance. This is just something else that we do in business. This is not something that you need to worry about unless you're not doing it, right? So if you started business and didn't have insurance, I think that's a problem. Well, if you own a business and you're not thinking about cybersecurity, I think it's a problem.
Yeah, and that's the takeaway from that question. You
Yes.
need cybersecurity, period.
I agree.
So I'll move on to the last question. Time just flies by. How can I stay safe and steer clear of aggressive hackers?
So there's a lot of things that we can do to steer clear of aggressive hackers. Some of the things is make sure that your vulnerabilities are covered, right? We know for our customers, we know what equipment they have. And I'll give you an example. A new vulnerability came out just a couple weeks ago, Log4j, which is a Java vulnerability. Everybody probably knows what Java is. And then they're like, Log4j what? Well, it was a vulnerability in Java where they could execute a command against the Java and gain administrative control over the machine. And this is web facing. So all they need to do is get to the website, issue this command, and then they had full control over that machine. Wow. A lot of companies had their whole systems tied up in these web browsers, so they gain control of the whole system and not just that one machine. One of the things we did for our customers is we sent out a scanner through all our customers, identifying anybody that might have that vulnerability, and then we patched it, right? Or we shut those services down, or we made sure you couldn't reach them from the outside. So really what we're doing is making sure that we do what we need to do for you. You know, you have this piece of equipment in your office, and every piece of equipment has vulnerabilities. How do we mitigate that risk so it's as little as possible, right? And then when a patch comes out for that vulnerability, we make sure we patch it right away, right? We add it to the list. Every piece of software has a vulnerability. They're talking about supply chain vulnerabilities now where, and recently a managed services piece of software got hacked called Kaseya. And what it did is it gave them access to many, many instances of this Kaseya, and then they conducted their attack. What our job is to make sure that we put the things in place so that can't happen to you. You know, let's say you use Sage Construction 300 CRE, right? And you just patched, but there was a compromise in in the update that they just produced
Mhm.
that allowed remote door backdoor access because they paid somebody off, a disgruntled employee at Sage off, and this is not true. So this, what I'm saying is not true, and let me back up here. I should not really use big company names. Sage has not been hacked, and Sage is not vulnerable, so that I know. But Acme 123 issues an update to their software. All of a sudden, every one of those customers is compromised, right? To what level is really what they paid for. These hackers will do nothing, will stop at nothing to make sure that they get what they need, including paying people hundreds of thousands of dollars if they can figure out a way to make it pay.
Right. I mean, I think that's why computers in general seem intimidating to some people because, you hear about this stuff and it seems scary. But that's why, you need an IT person. You need an IT company that helps you. Just like, you and I wouldn't go out and build a building. We would want a contractor to do that for us. Same kind of thing. I mean, you get alerts, these vulnerabilities when they come out, and what your customers are running and how to get it shut down so that they stay safe.
So, you bring up a good point, Shelley. I belong to CompTIA's ISAO, Information Security Sharing Organization. And basically, I get probably 150 alerts every day, right? And this ISAO is going to make it so that we can filter all of the alerts by the items that our clients have in their stacks,
Okay.
so that I can reduce what I look at on a regular basis. But we have hundreds of companies involved with the ISAO reporting data. So we're sharing information. So I know about vulnerabilities before they come over the web, right? I knew about the Log4j vulnerability before it even hit the news, right? And that's my job, to make sure that we keep you protected and safe. And I still, even though I know everything that I know and we do everything we do, I still will not guarantee you won't be hacked, right? Because there is no guarantee. And if anybody guarantees you'll never be hacked, I think you should run the other way. If they can compromise the CIA, the federal government, or any organization they want, there's nothing safe.
Good point. But if they have everything in place, you can help them, when they do, or if they do, you can help them get back quicker.
Yes. So it's all about how to isolate your backups, make sure that there's no footholds in your organization. And we use some tools to do that as well. One of the former CIA analysts owns the company of the software you use to do that.
Okay.
And they helped us out. We use some detection and response software that help us out in that aspect as well.
Excellent. Well, that was the last question I had for today, Bob.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming. And, I hope I shed some light and I hope I was helpful. And, if you ever want a free cybersecurity audit, please let me know. And one other security tip I want to leave everybody with is, if you do nothing else, if you don't spend any money on cybersecurity, spend it in this one area. Get your employees trained. 80% of hacks begin with a person via social media, email. They begin with people. Get your people trained, build a cybersecurity culture. That is my one free takeaway. I want the world to make sure that we can kill these hackers. So
Perfect. That's a great takeaway.
excellent. Well, thank you everybody and have a great day.